There is a correct intuition that basically says that at the fundamental root of the human experience, it is the way that we are relating to our experience in our internal world. That is what is creating so much suffering in our experience. That is a correct intuition, in my opinion. The wisdom traditions are pretty accurate in saying that. Basically, if it is a sense of self, it is a sense of me, it is a sense of I, the one who's reacting, the way that I'm relating to unpleasant and pleasant experiences. If I can get to the root of that and see through that, and see that ultimately, if I'm pushing or pulling on anything, that is contributing to my own suffering, my own demise, and the sense of me being a separate agent who is doing that, that is ultimately the root of a lot of the suffering. Yes, that is true. However, I think what is apparent to me, and if I think back to when I was earlier on in the spiritual path and I was really feeling intensely dysregulated energetics after going on multiple 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats, and intuiting that there was something there. There was something quite profound about these Eastern meditation traditions and these sorts of things. But what I came to realize is that, unfortunately, at that time in my life, I was clinging so hard to that spiritual technique being my salvation. At that time, there was significant energetic discomfort in my body, and it was affecting the capacity to show up into daily life, to show up in the workplace, to engage socially with other people, to have a meaningful and deep social interaction that wasn't ridden with social anxiety and significant social anxiety and things like this. It was inhibiting my ability to actualize a deeper and more meaningful life for myself by doing the sort of job that I wanted to do, by working in the space that I wanted to work in. And it was on my mind constantly that I need to get to the root solution of this through using deep meditation techniques. So what I ended up doing was recognizing that, yes, the first noble truth of Buddhism damn well is true in my experience, that suffering in this human experience is a reality. And I need to get to the root of it. So the best way I know how is by meditating on equanimity in the Vipassana Goenka tradition. I'm going to get right down to the root of reactivity so that I can then, once I realize that, only once I realize that, can I then start to engage in life in a meaningful way. Right. But I also think that what is, and I know that a lot of these meditative traditions, a lot of these very profound meditative traditions, they actually come from an Eastern background where a lot of people, energetic regulation is more of the norm in these cultures. Body practices, movement, dance, and all sorts of things. But in the West, in the Western cultures, a lot of people are going into, and this is my experience as well, we go into these intensive, amazingly profound meditation traditions from a place of ungroundedness. A lot of people are coming in with things like anxiety, depression, significant psychological and energetic dysregulation, hoping that these techniques will be their ultimate salvation and they're going to be the only thing. And I understand, I went through that. I understand that so deeply. I know what it feels like to be suffering like hell with so much energetic dysregulation in the body. And then having actually had some pretty profound experiences on something like a meditation retreat. But then what we do is we cling to that technique. We cling to it. And maybe even if I suggest an alternative, which I'm going to in a moment, just listen to what your body does. If you are relating to this experience, listen to what your body does when I invite you to try something different. It's no. And it can cite all these special teachings from teachers like S.N Goenka, or maybe a Zen teacher who said something like, don't dig heaps of shallow wells in your practice. Don't dig deep heaps of shallow wells. Just go right to the depths, and use one technique to take yourself the whole way there. And don't try anything else until you actualize that deeply in your experience. And it makes sense, It's like maybe for the first time in our lives, we've gone to a meditation retreat, we've tapped into something profound, and we know that we have to go to the depths of suffering. We really have to do that. That is going to be the salvation, right? So what do? We try to meditate even more, even harder on equanimity, all the while feeling like this intense discord in the body. We're feeling that discord and we're like, okay, what did Goenka say? Witness it as it is, not as you would like it to be. Don't dig heaps of wells. Don't try anything different. Don't deviate from this path. And it's so convincing because it's coming from a man or another teacher who may have transmitted a similar message to you, that it feels like that is the truth. There is no other way, and that is what I have to do. So that's why we cling so hard to that one technique that's going to save us. And yet the body, the energy in the body is completely out of whack. And it's been my experience that I've come across many profound people who point out that people who go on these retreats are so energetically damaged. Chris Command, I just recently had an interview with her. She did Vipassana for 14 fucking years. 14 years of diehard Vipassana meditation, looking to get deeper stages of equanimity. Probably, and I'm projecting, I don't know if this is absolutely true for her, but probably expecting a similar thing of the picture I've been painting in this video so far. That ultimately one day she would get to this root insight. But what I want to suggest to you, and what I wish I would have been able to communicate to younger Sam, which is a bit of a paradox because his path was perfect and this ultimately worked out just the way that it did. But maybe this will be a video that would help ignite you to try something with a bit more earnest in another direction rather than clinging to one technique. Even if it might feel overwhelming, but looking into the shadow, allowing yourself to feel better through energetic regulation practices, whether it's through TRE, somatic inquiry, Qigong, running, exercise, giving yourself the permission when you're feeling very significantly energetically dysregulated to go on a run to help some of that energy ground down into the ground. That is where the money's at, in my opinion. That will actually enable and this has been my experience and the experience of many people that I've come in contact with now. When we allow ourselves to actually regulate our energy levels, through all the techniques I listed, I also want to add maybe breath work as well, something like that. What it can then do is infuse into our practice, which then ignites a much more earnest and honest and grounded investigation into these profound truths of what we actually are seeking. It ignites as Chris Command said, she was able to see the reaction formation of suffering arising a lot clearer when she was able to actually identify and come from a place of a grounded nervous system through doing practices like TRE, trauma release exercise. And for me, what I realized was that until I looked at my shadow, the part of me, the wounded Sam who wanted to use Vipassana retreats, to go to a Vipassana retreat to ultimately find some relief in his experience, what he actually wanted was to do deep shadow work. And what he realized through deep shadow work was that he felt like a fraud underneath this, right? So this is underneath all of the Vipassana techniques. Underneath the powerful techniques, he felt like a fraud. He felt socially anxious and unlovable. He felt, what else did he feel? Incredibly doubtful in his practice. He felt ashamed of the fact that he was so broken. He felt broken in the way that he was relating to his experience. He felt alienated, like he couldn't connect with people on a deeper level, which he deeply yearned for, to be able to connect with people, and was holding out for that technique, that profound technique to finally save him. So my invitation with this video is that, and I've made a few of these recently, but it's on my heart so much lately, that it's okay. It's okay to look at the shadow. It's okay to honor the content of your experience. It's okay to look at your narrative a little bit, to ground yourself back down and to understand yourself at a deeper level, rather than just applying a bare open awareness-based practice or a dry Vipassana practice. It's okay to do that, truly. Truly, it is. And I know maybe if you're relating to this video, a part of you might not want to hear that, but there's also a deep part of you that, if it's still watching this far into the video, is intuiting that there is something there for you, and that does not feel exciting. Because these spiritual techniques, that there's desperation behind them, that you want to get to the root of suffering. You're so sick and fed up of this, and you just want to dig down and get to the root of it, don't you? I get that. But I just want to point out that with a trusting in your own instinct at a deep level, maybe there's an alternative. Maybe it might mean looking into your shadow, seeing what lies there, just being curious. Whether it's through somatic inquiry, through me, through facilitation, whether it's through TRE, whether it's through Qigong. And what that has revealed for me, with a grounded nervous system, from a place of more centeredness, is that this process of psycho-spiritual unfoldment is funneling into a much more honest, authentic, and deeper place, where the shedding of identity layers and the realization of profound truths actually feels more grounded and is an inevitability. We're not here to just play with our stories for the rest of our days and just keep on reciting and honoring and bringing up our past. We're here ultimately because this culminates in the end of suffering, the end of the sense of me, the sense of self. And so if we can do whatever we can and be very honest and authentic in our pursuit of that to get there, and whether that means honoring the shadow to regulate the nervous system more, that's what we got to do, baby. So I hope this helps. Hope this has been a light bulb moment for you. And I'm open to hearing your comments, and I'll meet you down there and engage with you in the comment section. If you have anything to add or talk about, I'll always be open to listening to you.